Hey folks, Professor Finn here, and today we're going to be looking at Chapter 8 in Dr. Ralph Klicker's Funeral Service Psychology and Counseling textbook. Let's get the presentation up, and let's talk about children and death. So, important first step. Children cannot learn outside of their own experiences. This is called cognitive reciprocity. Loss of a significant person in the life of a child is a far more common occurrence than people would believe. It is estimated that more than 2 million children in the United States will experience the death of a parent before age 18. It is estimated that in a school of 800 pupils, 24 children will experience the death of a family member. Children have particularly hard times because they lack the vocabulary or experience to easily express feelings and needs. 80% of children think about death at one time or another, and before you can assist them, you must understand how they perceive death. So, 3 general factors that determine how a child views death and loss. The first is age or developmental level. The second is the manner of death, and the third is the relationship with the deceased. As a child grows, their view on death will change. So, starting at the beginning, between birth and 2 years of age, before 6 months, we have nonspecific distress in reaction to absence of a mother. This is theorized to be the precursor to actual grief responses. We don't know because we can't ask babies. So from 6 months to 2 years, they begin to experience normal grief reactions in response to an absence of the mother. So we see the distress, we see the crying, we see stuff like that. If separation continues, child manifests despair and sadness. So we see they have a long-term separation emotional situation. If the separation remains over a long period, child may become detached unless a substitute caring person takes over. So someone has to step into that position and fulfill that role, or else that harms the child significantly going forward. It is particularly difficult to determine what the response is of the person who passed away is not the mother. The child may actually mirror the grief of the mother rather than exhibit personal grief. Again, children birth 2 years of age, largely nonverbal, really can't have advanced conversations with them because they do not understand the advanced concepts of what we are talking. So ages 2 to 5, preschoolers. They do not understand the permanence of death. They do not know what that means. They have little understanding of time. Day, week, month, year seems like forever. A child can miss a person who is gone. Absolutely. They are aware of nonverbal communication, such as moods of others or changes in routine. They are worried about the physical well-being of the deceased, and this can usually play out. Are they going to be hungry? They're going to be tired? Things of that nature. And this can be frustrating because you know as an adult that's not going to be an issue, but coupled with a child that is asking a billion questions because they don't know what's going on, that can be extremely taxing and frustrating for a grieving adult. They are not capable of cognitive reciprocity. They react to death in light of their own experience. 4 to 5-year-olds can be fascinated by death and want to see and touch the deceased. They ask questions repeatedly about the deceased, and the child is looking for reassurance, so try not to get frustrated with that. May not know how to react, so they confront others with statements like, "My daddy died," to see how people respond, what the reaction is, what they should be feeling. They're exploring the world around them. They're children. Many feel responsible or guilty because of something said or something they failed to do. They may act like the death never happened or react in a regressive manner. So now we get into ages 6 to 9. More complex understanding of death and dying because, you guessed it, they're older. They realize death is irreversible. So by age 6 to 9, they are figuring out that death is irreversible and it is a universal experience. They still find it hard to believe that death will happen to them, and they believe death will only happen to people that are old. Death personified is a boogeyman. It is a monster. They can hide from it. They use magical thinking. They feel if they wish or they think bad things, this can happen to the person. This then causes them guilt because they feel that they contributed to it. A lack of vocabulary is a problem. Children at this age have strong emotions, but they are unable to express it. Crying, withdrawal, nightmares, aggressiveness, misbehavior are common. And as a general statement, boys are always going to be more aggressive when they are stressed. They are having a bad situation. We are hardwired for aggressiveness. Often, these children need to be given permission to grieve. It is okay to feel sad. It is okay for you to cry. You should not be telling a 6-year-old, you're a boy, you shouldn't be crying, you need to be strong like your daddy. They're 6 years old. Period. Let them cry. Pre-adolescence, 9 to 12. Cognitive understanding that death is a final event. They can understand a mature, realistic explanation as final as irreversible. So now they have kind of the adult view of death. Being that they are preteens, they have short attention spans because they're still kids, even though they might not think they are. Crying 1 second, fine, and playing outside the next can be a problem if the adult interprets this as a lack of care about the death or a lack of love for the deceased. You know, you didn't love your grandpa enough that you can't be sad. Again, don't put it on the kid. Don't put it on the kid. They're concerned about who will take care of them or who they can play with. Vocabulary at this point is usually less of a problem because they don't want to talk about it. We're getting into grumpy teen stage. Grief will build up and cause behavioral problems, so you want to talk about it. You want to bring it up. You want to tell them how you are feeling so that they understand that it's okay to talk about it. School is a primary environment, so misbehavior, lack of concentration will result in a drop in grades, which then creates even more frustration. Expressing feelings should help mitigate these and other issues. Encourage them to talk about the loss and their inner feelings. And there is encouraging them and there is leading by example. So by expressing your thoughts about the loss, by expressing how you are feeling, by showing them how you feel, by showing your emotions, that it's okay to show emotions, you are setting a good example for them to follow, and they're more likely to be open to you. Interest and curiosity in physical aspects of death, what happens after death. Children may identify with deceased and imitate mannerisms. Shocker, boys are more aggressive in acting out feelings at this age. Finally, we hit teen years. Adolescence. They understand much like an adult does. It's irreversible. It happens to everyone. Losses affect the total life of the teen involved are usually very intense. They commonly feel frustration, anxiety, confusion, in addition to other responses. It is theorized that puberty intensifies this experience. Conflicting feelings such as unattractiveness, insecurity, and lack of control are also prevalent. So you have all the things that are going on with loss and all the things that are happening because now you're a teenager and your body is changing and all sorts of social aspects are changing as well. So 12 to 14, the early teen, right? Until now, we basically had age groups. Well, from 13 to 18, we now have a sub-age group. So we have 12 to 14, the early teen. This is where they search for the am I okay answer. They're concerned about fitting in. There is the imaginary audience watching them. It's not so imaginary because everyone has smartphones these days. They feel awkward talking about grief, and they're concerned what people think about them because they're very egocentric and may not understand another person's loss if it's not like theirs. 14 to 15, we have the middle teen, feelings of indestructibility, bad things won't happen to them, teens live forever, and they express themselves by taking unnecessary risks or chemical abuse. Finally, we have late teen, they have the search for meaningful relationships, they better understand complex relationships, they're interested in another person's point of view, and they grieve much like adults do. Adolescents need to be comforted and supported. They are usually put in the position of comforter, protector, and caregiver and told to be strong for others. Keeping emotions suppressed is never a good thing, and they are falling to pieces inside. They need to be able to be themselves. So even if they are forced into a position, you have to understand that they need time to blow that steam off. Adolescents philosophize about life and death. They have conflicting feelings. They feel immune to death. They feel anxiety and fear over thoughts of their own death. They challenge themselves with unnecessary risks to prove that they are immortal and it can't happen until it does. By confronting death, they're trying to overcome fears by confirming control on mortality. Males and females have different responses. Shocker, males are more aggressive, females needing more comfort and reassurance. Is that the same for everybody? No, but generally speaking, males are aggressive. So there is a chart in the book. This kind of sums up everything that happens there. This is something good to screenshot, add to your notes. Taking notice of the little typo where it's 9 to 12 in the book, and I correct it to 10 to 12 because all the other age groups have no overlapping ages. Boink. That concludes this lecture, folks. We will see you next time.